Hi guys, it's such a beautiful day out. I just went for a run this morning and I don't know, I think I'm feeling all the endorphins and I was like, you know what? Today is the day. Today is the day. I'm gonna actually make a YouTube video. I tried this before. But this time I'm gonna get my perfectionistic ass to just upload this and see what happens. I've seen a couple of people make the Booktube Newbie Tag, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm not so much into the YouTube Booktube community that much, but I've seen some people pass by that I'm like, oh, I kind of like your opinions and the books you read. So I thought joining them a little bit. The first question, we're just gonna start with the questions. The first question is, why did you start this channel? And like I said, I tried to make videos before, but I never really ended up posting them, and I didn't really like what I made and stuff like that. I'm a bit critical on myself, and because of that, I never end up actually doing the YouTube things that I want to do, because I've wanted to do this since I was like a teenager. I'm quite old at this point. It's been quite some years, but better late than never, I guess. I also find myself reading more books than I've ever read in my life, and I've also find myself thinking deeply about some of the books I read, and I very much want to share my thoughts with people, and I want to hear other people's opinion about the book and what they thought about it. And I recently joined a book club, and that's really nice, but we only read one book a month and we discuss that one book, and I love that. But there's certain books that I read that I don't think I will ever ask someone else to read unless they really want to read it. That's fine, but I don't know people that want to read the books that I read. So the internet is full of people, so someone might have read the book that I read. That would be nice to just hear other people's opinion about that book, and to also be able to formulate my own opinion, my own thoughts, that the feelings that I felt during the read with someone, or at least record it in a certain way. That's kind of where I want to go with this. Second question, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Am I enough? No. I think I read quite a diverse what's the word I'm looking for? English is not my first language, so sometimes you have to be patient with me. Diverse genres, that's what I wanted to say. Like, I read multiple genres, and I read like I read non-fiction books sometimes. I'm a student nurse, so I read, right now I'm reading about cancer. I'm reading The Emperor of All Maladies, which is a very interesting book, but a very tough one, and I don't think I will ever recommend it to someone unless I know they're really interested in that kind of stuff. But then I can also enjoy, like, I like Japanese books like Murakami and those kind of things. I love the magical realism aspect. I also love Russian literature. I also like a couple of Chinese writers. So it's quite diverse, the things that I read. And a lot of times and this is not critique, this is just my personal taste. If you look at Booktube, a lot of times Booktube, and also like the TikTok side of it, a lot of times it's the same books that always pass by. It's like, oh yeah, you read that book, okay. Like, all the other people that are reading that book right now very nice. Like, we've heard their opinions, we've seen those books pass by, and I think we should shine a light also on the less known books, the books that are not super famous or are not loved by everybody, but could be, if someone recommended in a good way. And I'm trying to do that. I want people to feel motivated to pick up a book that is not hyped up by Booktube. I want to show the beauty of some old classics, or of books from writers from countries like Syria and African countries and stuff like that, that are less famous but still really good. That's kind of what I want to do. I don't really care about fantasy books. I don't really care about Colleen Hoover books. I'm really sorry. The Secret History, though, by Donna Tartt, I liked that one. That was a good book. I have to give Booktube that one. I'm glad that I read that one. But usually whenever I see other books pass by, I'm like, no, thank you. My taste is a little bit different in that aspect. So if you want to read something completely different, join my community. We can talk about it. Even if you don't like my taste, we can talk about it. I would like to know why you didn't like something. Sometimes I do read something that I didn't like that much myself either, and then I also want to talk about it. So all opinions are welcome. What are you most excited about for this new channel? Well, the community. It's like I said, I want to talk about things. I want to hear other people's opinion about it. I want to invite people to be able to express their opinion, share their opinion, and I want to do something with your opinion. I want to think about it. I kind of want to reflect on it. I want to see the book that I read in someone else's perspective. Because sometimes I interpreted something in a book completely different than other people. Sometimes it's because I'm a nurse and I look at things differently, and then I see certain things, and then when I tell people like, oh yeah, did you notice this? Like, she's kind of psychotic, for example. Like, I read a book and they were all about, oh, it's about the environment. And I was like, it's about the environment? No, we're seeing a lady fall into psychosis during the span. I don't know how much time went on in this book, but she fell into a psychosis. We see her go crazy. And they all looked at me like, oh my God, we did. I'm like, did we read the same book? Like, they didn't even notice that. They were so focused on the environment aspect of the book that they didn't see the other aspect, which was the lady's mental health that just declined and declined and declined. And as a nurse, that's all I could see. I did not see the environmental aspect. I was like, there was an environment? What? They're like, yeah. She's like all into doomsday thinking, and she thinks about, what if the global warming gets so bad? Like, how are we going to survive in a world? And that's kind of what... And I'm like, yeah, but that's the psychosis part. Like, it's not really about what are we doing. But anyway, that was very interesting to see how 8 people who read the same book looked at the book with completely different eyes. That was so interesting. There were also a couple details that I completely missed in this book, or that I just didn't really pay attention to, that other people paid attention to. And I think those are really interesting to see, because it opens up the book even more. Yeah. Why do you love reading? Oh God, why do you love reading? I have read my entire life. Since I could read, I read books. So I don't think that, I don't know, reading is just, why do I love reading? Reading is just, for me, it's like breathing. Like, I need oxygen to survive. I need food to survive. My heart is pounding inside my chest to make me be able to make this video. That's reading to me. Like, it's such a natural thing for me. Like, I always have a book with me. I never leave my house without a book. In every room of my house, there's a book laying around in case I'm sitting there and I want to read because I'm bored. Like, it's so natural to me to just grab a book and read wherever I go. Yeah, I don't grab my phone. So for some people, their phone is glued to their hand. For me, usually it's my nose that's glued inside a book. So yeah, it's just a natural thing, and I can't imagine a life without books, without reading, without indulging into a story. That just seems weird. Good sippy sip. What book or series got you into reading? Well, so I'm from Belgium, and when I was a child, the one book that I read, there's a couple of books that I just read over and over and over, and one of them is called Jip and Janneke, and it's a story by a Dutch writer who, it's about two kids. It's just about two kids and their day-to-day life. And I loved those stories. My mom used to read the stories before I went to bed. And then when I got old enough, I would read a story to myself before I went to bed, a little bedtime story. And I still do bedtime stories. Before I go to bed, I read myself a bedtime story. That never changed for me. But Jip and Janneke is one of those books that really taught me as a child that reading is fun. Another one is Narnia. I love Narnia. It's a series for people who don't know. Narnia is 7 books. It's 7 books, and I read all of them as a child, and I loved those. I truly, truly loved those books. When the movie came out, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I don't know, is that the order? It might be in a different order. I loved that movie. I was in love with it. And when I found out it was a book series, I bought the thickest book ever. It's this big, the book, and it's this thick. It's the biggest book I owned as a child. I think it's still one of the biggest books I own, even though I am reading like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. They're quite thick books too, but I think that one is still the biggest book I own. And I remember my childhood was just reading that because it took me years to read all 7 books, but I loved it. Another series is Harry Potter. I loved the Harry Potter books. I remember, like, a vivid memory of my childhood is sitting in my beanie bag next to the heater in the living room. That's like behind the couch. So I would stuff my beanie bag in between the couch and the wall next to the heater. I would stuff it in there, and I would just hide there like this, like behind the couch, so nobody would find me, and I would read my Harry Potter book. And I remember I was so into the story that sometimes my mom would be looking for me and she would be yelling my name all over the house, and I would just not hear it because I was so into the story. I did not know what was happening around me anymore. The house could be on fire. I would not know because I was reading my book. That's a vivid memory of my childhood, like days like that. And I had that with other books too. I used to always get the same 5 books from the library. So every 2 weeks we went to the local library. On Wednesday afternoon we always went, and replaced the 5 books that we lent with other 5 books. But I would just keep rotating the same 10 books because the next time I came, the 5 books that I rented 2 weeks before were back in the shelves, and I would take them out again and I would reread the same books again and again. I think as a child I only read like a maximum of 20 different books, but I always read the same ones again and again, so I did read a lot, but I read the same ones again. Which is fine. I mean, once you find something that you love, you should really, really get all of it out. Get all the love that you can give out of that one book. Just go for it. But as a child, I was a big reader. And then I don't think I ever stopped reading, but the last couple of 5 years, I've been reading more than I did before. I read 40 books this year. 40. That's a new record for me, I think. Every year I read more and more and more books, and I'm very proud of myself for that because I usually don't have a lot of time. So being able to read so many books is really nice. But what got me into reading? That's a good question. I never thought about it, actually. I think Murakami is one of the reasons, because 5 years ago I discovered Murakami when I was in Bali. The book was just in some Airbnb we were staying in. The book was on a table. It was 1Q84. That's I think how it's called. I don't know. It's a really big book, and I was looking at it like, oh my god, somebody's reading this. I was like, what? And I skimmed through the book. I was like, I need to see what this is about. And I was going through the pages, and I stopped at a page and I read it, and I remember reading like 10 pages of that book. I just opened it somewhere in the middle and I started reading, and I remember going on for like 10 pages, and I was like, this is not even my book. I'm reading someone else's book in this Airbnb. I don't know who owns it. I'm just sitting here reading their book at the coffee table. I shouldn't be doing that. And then I ended up buying the book when I got back home from Bali, and I remember buying so many Murakami books afterwards. Like, I read one Murakami book after the other. I think I read like 5 books of him in 1 year, in half a year actually, because we were already halfway the year. So since then, I was kind of in love with Japanese literature, and I think Japanese literature is still one of the best literature that I've read in my life. It's still, when I see a new book come out by a Japanese writer, I always give it a chance. I don't even think about it. I just pick it up and I read it because I just love those books. Yeah, I think that's really something that gets me into reading. I read those books so fast. Yeah. So try out Japanese literature. I want to explain to you why it's good, but it's hard to explain, and that's what I like about it. There's nothing special about it. It's usually just a slice of life, but they write it so well. You are so indulged into the story. I just love it. I love that. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Well, my perfectionism about videos. I'm already looking at the time right now. I'm already talking for 19 minutes and I'm only halfway to questions, and I'm already stressing out. I'm like, oh no, that's gonna be a long video. And I don't know if people like long videos like this of just somebody rambling on about nothing really, because I've been rambling. I ramble a lot. But I also need to remind myself that I am starting this booktube channel, one, for myself, because I want to discuss the books and I enjoy doing this. And I also enjoy reading other people's comments, their opinions about it. So this is kind of a very open space for everybody, for myself and for you guys, to communicate through. And I like that. But I also know that there will be people, how do I say that? There might be things that will hurt me maybe, or that I won't agree with. And that is fine, because that's an opinion and you can have an opinion. It's just that I need to learn to not take it personally, because it isn't personally, I think. If it is really, then honestly, please leave. I know my English is not that good. I know that sometimes I ramble on and it's not really going somewhere. I also know I am lazy and I don't like to do certain things, and then I don't do certain things, and one of those things is editing. So I'm very sorry, but most of my videos won't be edited. I already know that. I can already predict that. So get ready for that. If you don't like that, then move on to another booktuber, please. There's so many booktubers out there, and you just have to find the person that you like the most. Someone that you like to listen to, somebody that you like their opinions of, their taste in books. Like, find somebody. There has to be somebody out there that you do like, and that might not be me, and that is completely fine. I just have to learn to be fine with it, which I know is not easy, but that's a personal problem. That is not someone else's problem. That's a me thing. When did you start reading? I think that's the same as what book got you into reading. I always read, like I said. Where do you read? Oh, where do I read? Everywhere. On the bus, when I'm in a waiting room at the doctor's office or in the hospital, before my shift, before work, when I come in too early, I pick up my book. If I'm 10 minutes early, I don't start working yet. I read my book first then for 10 minutes, because I mean, I'm there, but I'm not getting paid yet, so don't ask me to work yet. Where else? I read on the train, I read at home, I even read in the library. I love going to cafes and just sit there for an hour, drink a coffee or a tea, and read a book there, and then go home again. It's just reading in a different environment. It's nice sometimes. I really love sitting on the train and reading. I really, really like that. It's something I did when I went to university. I had to commute. Is that how you say it? Commute, yeah. I had to commute by train for like half an hour, and every day, back and forward, it was an hour in total of train. I would read a book, and I remember reading quite a lot of books in that period that I studied in Antwerp, so that was really nice. What kind of books do you like to read? Like I explained before, all kinds of books, honestly. Anything that interests me, I just start reading it, and sometimes I find out that the book is not my kind of thing, and that's okay. I put it away, and I give it away to someone else usually. Put it down and give it away, and that's okay. Like, you cannot like every book out there, so that's fine. Oh, the last one. What does your book collection look like? A hot mess. A hot mess, like me. I am chaotic. I am looking at my books right now, in case you were wondering why she's always looking there. I'm looking at my books right now, and I'm a bit ashamed to show you. And that's bad because this is my living room. Like, I'm looking at it, it's my living room. Everybody who enters through the front door just sees right into it. So the first thing people see when they enter my house. I don't know if that's a good thing. Should I show you? Oh, I kind of don't want to. No, that's maybe another time. Maybe another time. I do a book tour. I could do that if you want to. I could do a book tour in case you really want to know what I read. But yeah, I can already see. Well, the first book that sticks out is Pachinko. Next to Pachinko is The Hobbit. They're standing next to each other. Yeah. Then there's A Bowl with Money in. Yeah. You heard me. And then we have Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. Then we have Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. The Master and Margareta, which is my favorite book ever. The Picture of Dorian Gray next to that. Then we got those, a couple of those tiny, what is it, 1 pound Penguin Classics, like the black little books. That's like 1 pound, the really small ones. A couple of those. I think one of them is a Dante one. Then we have a Murakami. Then we have a non-fiction book, The Body Keeps the Score, which was a very good book. I really like that book. And then we have a book for children about Darwin. There's really cute illustrations in it. Let me get it. Let me get it for you. Look at that. Look at that. It's so cute. It's such a cute book. Oh, it's so nice. Oh, I love this. All the turtles. Yeah, it's just for children, like how Darwin's life. It's a biography of Darwin for children. I bought it in a museum. Look at those pictures. Very good explanation, by the way, in here. If I ever have children, I will give them this book because it explains the theory so well. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then next to that, we have Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. Very good book. I wanted to buy the illustrated version. You have a comic book-ish version now, but they're kind of expensive. And I mean, I read the book. I don't have to read it again. It's fine. I'm okay with it. I read his other books too. So yeah, I was kind of done at this point with him. They're quite hefty books to read, and it usually takes me quite a couple of months to read them. Like, for example, The Emperor of All Melodies. I've been reading it for 2 months. I don't think I will finish it by the end of this year. So that's fine. That's completely fine. I just like to read those books on my own pace. And they're not books that you read every day. They're books that these are the kind of books that I take with me to the library and sit down, and I like to write in my common space book some quotes from it that I want to reflect on or remember as a nurse. Maybe that's also an interesting one to talk about on this channel. I keep a commonplace book, and a commonplace book is basically a place where you write down like quotes or parts of a book that speak to you. And this is nice. I always have this with me in my handbag when I go outside. And whenever I don't feel like reading and I'm still like commuting by train or bus, I take this out and I just open it and I skim through it and I read something and I reflect on it. For example, this is from the Tao de Pooh, which is also a good book. I love the Tao de Pooh. Brain can be fooled, inner nature can't be fooled. it's a simple sentence, but this for me is brain food. It's something to think about. Like, okay, our brain can be fooled, but why? What makes that your brain can be fooled? What can fool your brain? What fools my brain? Like, I really start to think, for me personally, okay, what are things that I think that are wrong, for example? Like, I'm already thinking, oh my god, this video is too long, nobody's gonna want to watch it, I ramble on and on, blah blah blah. Those are like interesting things to think about, because why do I think these things? Is this true? Like, is this actually a fact? No, I don't know this yet. Then why am I thinking this? Why is my brain fooling me into thinking that I already failed at this booktube thing? Which is not true yet, because it hasn't happened yet. These are the things that I want to think about. These are the things that I want to discuss on here. And I know I can ramble on, and I know that I can go deep into subjects like this, and sometimes people just don't want to know, or like, okay, good, it's fine, you can stop now. But yeah, I want to talk about this. This is why I'm doing this. If you want to, we can go through the commonplace book too. That could be a video too, if you're interested in that. There's quite some stuff in here, and I recommend people to keep a commonplace book. It just has to be really small. I mean, it's not that big. It's as big as my hand. It fits easily into my pocket at all times. And I got parts in here because I also have a little notebook in here for language learning. I've been learning Chinese for a couple of years, and I want to refresh my French. Since I'm from Belgium, half of the country speaks French. I'm from the Dutch speaking part, and honestly, not all of us are too good at neither of the languages, so it's kind of a disaster sometimes. And I also have like a little journal in here that whenever I'm reflecting on one of the quotes, I like to write down my thoughts about it if I had any deep thoughts that I want to remember. Yeah. So that's a little bit about me and my books. I hope that I make more videos. I hope I will keep this up. I hope I can inspire some people, motivate some people. I hope that some people are interested in joining the community and sharing their opinion. And I will try to be consistent with this. I will try to keep talking to you guys. Or at least to myself. That's fine too. That's great too. Yeah, I don't know how to end this. I just rambled on for half an hour, and now I'm just okay. Well, see you next time. Thank you for watching this. If you got to the end, I'm very sorry.